Hey guys, ECRG here. Today we're going to talk about the concepts of technique versus brute force. Hey guys, ECRG here. Today we're going to talk about technique versus brute force. Which is better in the work environment? And there are times when technique is more important, and there are times when you just want to do brute force and make it through all of your work, be headstrong about things, and just go as hard as you can. And there are times for both, and we're going to talk about that today. But first, I want to draw a few comparisons about technique and brute force. So if you do weightlifting, or if you do swimming or rock climbing is where I first really noticed how important technique is. Not that I didn't notice it before, but where you really notice it. Because one day I went rock climbing with one of my friends, and just to like a regular gym, an indoor gym. And he was pretty good at rock climbing. He'd been rock climbing for years. And he was able to just go for hours rock climbing. And where I would do one or two times up the wall, and my forearms would be so tired, my hands would be so tired. And I remember getting back to my apartment at the time, and I couldn't even open the door. My hands were so cramped, my forearms were so tight and sore. That had never happened to me before. And I realized why he was able to go for hours. It was his technique that he had perfected. And I know rock climbers do this a lot, where they more rely on their legs to do the pushing, and where an amateur is going to just try and overcome the wall with brute force, like I was trying to do. I knew I could do a bunch of pull-ups. I knew I could hold myself, pull myself up. So that's how I was getting up the wall. I was grabbing on the rocks and pulling myself up. Well, a couple times up the wall doing that, and I'm spent. I had to take like long breaks. He could go back to back to back to back because he was using his legs and only using his arms to help guide him. And the legs were doing most of the work, not the arms, where I was using the arms for most of the work. And so it was just tiring me out very early. And I realized then and there that technique is everything. Where, sometimes, like if I need to get up that wall really quickly, yeah, I could do it on brute force if I needed to. But if I wanted to have that endurance, if I wanted to have the stamina to have a really enjoyable time for hours and hours, I needed to get a much better technique. Now, same thing with swimming. You could ask somebody to, go swim 100 meters, and they might be able to do it doggy paddling or something like that. Or you have a real swimmer who knows the different strokes, who can freestyle, backstroke, breaststroke, or whatever it may be. They can get to that wall. They can get 100 meters very efficiently. They can go 1,000 meters. They could, survive out to sea if they were in a ship that went overboard, because they have the technique to be able to last a long time and to be able to go far in that nature. Where someone who just brute force doggy paddling, they might be able to make it, but they're going to be very, very tired at the end. And in those instances, technique is better. Here's another example: weightlifting. You ask somebody to pick up a few 100 pounds, they might be able to do it without knowing the technique. Then you ask somebody else who has had some experience powerlifting, they'll be able to deadlift it, and they might be able to do 10 reps with a few 100 pounds. Whereas other person who, just picks it up however they pick it up, they might throw out their back. They might be able to get it up, but there's going to be some lasting effects of that for someone not practicing proper technique. So it's the same way in the working environment. What is your technique? What is your workflow? What is your process to get through certain things? Sure, you could, as emails come in and start, telling you to do things, you could do it just on brute force alone and willpower. You could get it done. But how do you make sure everything is done in the most efficient manner? How do you make sure nothing is forgotten? How do you make sure that you did a quality job on each task? That's where technique comes into play. And a lot of that really benefits and is determined by your experience level, because as you get more experience, you're going to develop a better technique. And I find in the early parts of working a new job, you're going to be relying more on brute force and willpower, just getting it done by any means necessary. Whereas you get older and more experienced at a job, you're going to have a better technique to approach things. So I just wanted to provide those examples on technique versus brute force. I was recently watching a talk similar to this but basically about the technique and workflow that people use and how beneficial it is to have an important workflow so you're not missing out on anything or not catching any errors, especially in clinical research where patients' lives are at risk, and a lot of money's on the line with each trial and things of that nature. It's a high stakes environment at times. So you want to make sure that your technique is on point so you're not affecting anybody's lives or wasting a lot of money or anything like that. Whereas in the beginning, you might be more relying on brute force. In the end, hopefully over time, you'll develop a better technique and you'll be using more technique, more efficiency to get things done. So just a quick video on the importance of technique versus brute force. If you guys have any comments down below on your technique or any of your technique versus brute force stories, put them down below in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Become part of the notification squad by hitting that bell. You know the spiel now. Become part of the notification squad. Do it now before the video ends and before the next video. So email us at elitesclinicalgroup@gmail.com for any connections you want to make with us, or if you want to become part of the resume review program for getting into clinical research or anything like that, email us there. Or if you want to advertise on our channel, we'll take inquiries there. And that's it for today, guys. Take care.